Congrats, Detroit. You actually did it. It's been 30 years since you last won the division. And now it is official. You are absolutely, unequivocally 2023 NFC North champs. Congratulations. This has been a long time in the making. Decades of misery and listening to Packers fans talk about Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers, Vikings always contending, having a 13-win season last year. And surprisingly enough, Bears fans, what are you doing? I heard so much talk about the MVPs here, and Justin Fields, and this defense is going to be so amazing. Look at all these mid-level acquisitions, yada, yada, yada. And guess what? That defense stunk, and Justin Fields was an MVP. Heard a lot of this. How you doing, Bears fans? Didn't go quite how you expected, did you? The race to the NFC Championship, the playoffs, all of that is in the home stretch. And the Lions got the best gift that they could have possibly imagined. Not only are all three of their division opponents currently not in the playoffs, but they are in a three-way tie for the number one seed in the NFC. And now we got to ask some questions that we haven't in a long time. Can Detroit win the one seed? It seems silly, but it's a lot more likely than you think. Let's go over the three scenarios. Scenario one, Detroit, the 49ers win out. 49ers are in control of their destiny mainly because they have a great conference record. They have exactly one loss in the NFC. Wait, where's that? Yeah, to the Vikings. Great job, Vikings. Their other three losses are to the AFC North. The Bengals, the Ravens, and the Browns. So if San Francisco wins out, they're the one seed. Nothing you can do to stop them. But the Lions, all they need is for the 49ers to lose once, and the Lions need to win out. Why? Because the Lions would have a higher strength of schedule than the Eagles if they won out. In scenario 3, the Lions and the 49ers lose once, and the Eagles win out. Then they would be the number one seed. Now let's talk about what's the most likely scenario of these three. Here's the remaining schedules left for every team. You got the 49ers, the Lions, and the Eagles up here. Just taking a look at it, Eagles got a straightforward one. Cardinals, Giants, those should be wins. Niners, Washington, and Los Angeles. And Los Angeles may be a tough team right now, but the 49ers have owned Sean McVay recently. The Lions arguably had the toughest of these three teams. Now, the one thing that has been really evident this Christmas is that there is no world beater. I've been onto this for a long time about the NFL. The notion that the Niners and the Eagles are in some sort of special class that no other team can touch is BS. It has never been true, and it has never been more apparent than now. San Francisco just came off from a humiliating loss to Baltimore, where Brock Purdy turned into a pumpkin so much they had to drag out Sam Darnold, which Kyle Shanahan, man, he just can't get a break with these bad quarterbacks. And the Eagles, on the other hand, they just love letting bad teams hang around. And their defense has been regressing so much that in order to fix it, they decided to bring in Matty P, failed Detroit Lions head coach, failed defensive coach of the Patriots, failed offensive coordinator for the Patriots. And now they have him to try to fix the defense. I think their defense may still be a little bit of an issue. That being, so the 49ers and Eagles have a lot of questions. So keep an eye when you're watching these next few games, or listen to pundits talk about them, how these two teams win these games is going to matter a whole lot. So the most likely thing, I think the Eagles and the Niners are both going to win out at this point, just because the Cardinals and the Giants. The Eagles should be able to take care of business. That Giants game was deceivingly tough, but the Giants have nothing to play for now. And the Niners, well, you get that Rams game at home. That's a big deal. So now that it's pretty set in stone, at least in my eyes, that the Lions are not going to win the 1 seed, the question is, can they win the 2 seed? And it really comes down to, that Dallas game for starters and that Vikings game. They just played the Vikings last week. It seems pretty cruel to have those two divisional games so close to each other right at the end of the season. The big question for the Lions have obviously been the defense. And Aaron Glenn has come under a lot of fire. Rightfully so. He has not exactly been a great coach. At least not great at having a great defense, that is. I mean, it's consistently been the offense carrying the load for this team, which is why this Dallas game is really, really important. And I really think that how this Dallas game goes is going to be a really big indicator on how Detroit is going to fare against other teams in the playoffs. The Dallas Cowboys are undefeated at home. Dak Prescott plays out of his mind, and this Cowboy offense clicks at home. But the Lions are also 4-0 in their primetime games, 6-1 when they're not in it, playing on 1 o'clock on a Sunday. When the lights get bright, this unit shines. And this matchup, it's going to be really fun to watch. Definitely tune in. Saturday night, 8:15, NFL Network. It's going to be awesome. This is going to be a really, really fun game to watch. You should really, really pay attention. Now, if I were to make my pick, some people would say, take the Cowboys. Just take the 6.5-point favorites. And I don't agree. I think this is a perfect game for the Lions. I think the Lions are playing with some juice, with some mojo, with some moxie. And I would be really, really surprised if the Lions lost this one. I think they got something special here, and I think putting this on a primetime game is something that's going to really help Detroit, because they play their best when they know everyone's watching. And the Lions are no stranger to winning games on the road. I mean, we're all acting like Jared Goff can't play anywhere except Ford Field. I mean, they literally beat Kansas City week 1. They beat Tampa Bay on the road when they were on a hot streak. The Lions have won road playoff games before, and they just won in Minnesota last week. This is just one of those bizarre storylines that all these pundits just kind of pull out of their rear end to find something to talk about. Both the Cowboys, they got problems against good teams, and I think the Lions are a great team. I do. I think the Lions are an awesome team. So I think they're going to win that one. But for that Vikings game, not so much. And before Lions fans, you grab your pitchforks and say, hey, why on earth would you think that we would beat Dallas and then come home and lay a goose egg to the Vikings? First off, it would be very on brand for the team. But in all honesty, all joking aside, we got to talk about the rest of the NFC North. To say that they have been a disappointing squad would be a little bit of a understatement, to say the least. Packers, Bears, I mean, there were expectations here, especially for the Packers with their early start. They say, hey, maybe Jordan Love is the guy. For the Bears, we just got DJ Moore. We got all these pieces for defense. We're going to click. And for the Vikings, they were just a 13-win team last year, and they were starting to click under Kirk Cousins a little bit after a really rough start to the season. The Vikings are the X factor here. So if you're a Lions fan, you gotta pay attention to how the Vikings are doing, because if the Vikings are in the mix for the playoffs, you're gonna get their best game. And I don't trust the Packers recently. They've had a really rough go defensively. I mean, Joe Barry needs to go. I mean, they made Tommy DeVito master of the Italian stallion, master of the gabagoo. They made him look like a franchise quarterback. They gave Baker Mayfield a perfect passer rating in Lambeau Field. First time it's happened. I mean, those are Madden stats. And Bryce Young, the guy who was drafted number 1 overall pick, who everyone's been clowning on the Panthers for because they've been such a disaster, he hung 30 points on them and actually looked like a competent quarterback and threw for 300 yards. This Packers defense is in shambles. And yeah, I know the Vikings won't have TJ Hawkinson, but they still got Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, and that is way, way, way more than most teams. And I like the Vikings here, which is really strange to say. And yeah, I think the Bears are going to beat the Falcons. The Falcons suck. Which that makes Week 18 so much more stressful. Bears, Packers, yeah, probably at that point the Bears would win just because they're a different team. And if that defense would have to stiffen up, and I don't trust Joe Barry right now. It's so funny. The Packers just love drafting all these first-round players to their defense, but it's just still has moments where it's just awful. Awful. That last game between the Lions and the Vikings was also really, really close. and Nick Mullins threw for 4 interceptions. If he throws for one less interception, the Vikings probably win that game. This was a really, really tough contest, and it's great that Detroit was able to clinch this up early. I don't think they're going to sweep the Vikings this year. I don't, even with Nick Mullins or the Pasternak or whoever is at quarterback. Does this mean that you should lose your faith in Detroit? No, I don't think so. Under Dan Campbell, the culture of grit is really, really set in. And this is a team that has had a lot of great wins this year. This is a good football team, a great football team. And I still think they should be the favorites in the NFC. Check out my video. I'll have the link in the description if you want to check it out. The Lions are still in a perfect spot. No matter if it's home, no matter if it's on the road, they're going to be a good squad. They're going to be a great team. And I, for one, can't wait to see how the rest of the season works out for him. Anyways, guys, make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel if you're new. Thank you for watching. Stay in the North.